I really don't have anything to lead with, other than it's fun to get back on the road, or back on the field. Uh, that's the thing I love about this game the most is the time we spend practicing, obviously as well as the games. And so when we have the opportunity to get the guys back out there, um, football is a game you got to play, and in order to play it, you got to put a ball down and you got to get 11 guys going the right direction. And so that's why it's these practice opportunities are so important. So time's yours.
Coach, start off with sort of the obvious one. You don't have Shedeur here anymore, but you talk about the quarterback room.
Yeah.
Feel like you have there with not only the three scholarship guys, but also the one.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's going to be an obvious observation throughout the season. Losing somebody like Shedeur is, we got to replace him. And I think the important thing for all teams is you sort of rebuild the roster and you have to start over. Uh, we took with us into the offseason a winning season, and then we want to build on that with the players that are here because you want to try to build a winner. But we got to rebuild it. And so we went out and got two players that we feel like have a bright future. Obviously, Caden Salter, who's got 1 year left. He's out there doing a heck of a job. And then Juju is phenomenal. He's a young talent. He's very natural in what he does, and he's fun. And so both of those guys need to develop to a certain degree within our offense, which now we have. We got a year time on task with. And so they need to develop just like all the other players. And we really like what we've seen so far. We built a little bit of a foundation through the offseason. And then out there today, there were some really good plays. And then there's certainly some things that we got to clean up as we go. So, but what's nice with these both guys, along with Staub and Ponder, obviously, and Colton Allen, is on the field, sometimes they'll have an aha moment when something doesn't go right, and they say, "Oh, okay, now I see why," or "Wow, that really did work out right. Now I see what you were looking at, Pat," and so on. So it's good, it's great, it's healthy, and if you can tell in my voice, I'm just happy to be out on the grass. As you get along in this profession, you like less and less the office work, and you relish more and more the field work. And I think that's at the point in my career at this point.
Coach, with Zach Atkins going into the transfer portal, I'm just curious from your perspective what it's going to mean to have a true threat tight end.
Yeah, I think tight ends are so important. I lived in a league forever where tight ends in the NFL are very, very important pieces to your offense. And so you're in 11 and 12 personnel a lot. We got a lot out of our guys that we had playing in there. Savell last year, but we were in 10 personnel a lot because we didn't really kind of have the room that we needed. So going out to get Zach, hopefully to give us the flexibility to be in more 11, 12 personnel. I think good coaches kind of use the personnel that is available to them, and we had a lot of wideouts, and hopefully still do. So we're going to try to utilize them and their speed, but the tight end is a key position, not only blocking the edge of the line of scrimmage, but also in the passing game, whether they're protecting or getting open on routes. So, I think we got a little bit more diverse roster this year, which will allow us to do more things.
Hey, Coach, Tyler King with the Denver said, just going back to the quarterbacks, I mean, when you go into an offseason where a job like that is up for grabs, kind of what's the message to these guys in the spring? Is it you can't win it right now, just kind of focus on learning these things, or kind of how do you approach with a couple guys competing for one spot there?
Yeah, it's, as my youngest daughter would say, it's not that deep. I mean, you bring in new players, and they come in and they compete their butts off, and our responsibility as coaches is to make sure we play the best player. And so we'll, through the training sessions, because there is no preseason, we have to determine who the best guy is. And, God willing, we have a number of guys that could be the best guy, and they just go out there and compete. So they got to do the most with the reps they're getting in practice, learn from the mistakes of others. And, I think, I challenge our guys that we want to have one of the healthiest quarterback rooms in the country, because when you have a healthy quarterback rooms, then all the guys progress and all the guys develop, and that's what you're looking for.
Want to ask about the running backs room and Marshall Faulk coming in.
Sure.
And a room that returns.
Yeah, I think it's a really good group. I think that they were underutilized to some degree last year, and some of it was by design. I mean, I kind of like to throw the ball, and we happen to have a really good quarterback and really good receivers, so some of that's by design. There were also times when, in the college game, they call them RPOs, and we all understand what's going on, where there's a structured run with, let's call it structured shenanigans on the edges, where you got blockers and route runners. And it could be right to do both things. So it could be right to hand the ball off, and it could be right to pull it. And so, those are the types where last year there probably were a handful of runs we could have let eat that would have helped our run game. But I'm not going to dispute Shedeur pulling it and getting it to Jimmy, or pulling it and getting it to Tay on the perimeter either. So, but as we go along, the running game, it takes a village. It takes the whole village. It takes the guys up front. It takes the runners, and then it takes obviously the coaching. And we're thrilled that Marshall is here. All his years as a player, and he was one of the smartest, most intelligent players. So as he gets more and more comfortable with our system, he's going to be able to give those runners insight, not only on what they're looking for in coverage. We run choice routes with the running back. With the contour of this defense, this is what you can expect, how to read runs. And so, yeah, I and we are thrilled that Marshall's here, and he'll be, he'll be a big part of what we do. Yeah, sure.
Just your reflections on maybe the first 2 years. Obviously, this year was your first as a coordinator, and kind of transition into that role later in your first year. But seeing how the first 2 years went, and maybe what your approach is this season.
Yeah, no, I'm on my life's journey, right? And I'm just thrilled that I have a team to coach, right, an offense to coach. When I came here, I pretty much the first year didn't know a ton about the structure of college football, having been in the pro game, and it's different. We've talked about it all last year, so I got my feet wet there, and then last year to kind of put it together and feature guys that could make a difference for us. And now we lose some of those guys, but I think the production is hidden within our roster. I think all we need is what we got. I think, and we got a chance to be a really, really fine team. And so, that's fun to kind of rebuild it in this year's image and likeness, right? Because you do climb the mountain a little different each year. And I feel very fortunate to be doing this job with a great deal of experience. A lot of seasons where you won, and some seasons that didn't go so well, right? But you learn from those things. And so to be able to sit here, and I feel, I really do. I don't know if it's the mountain air. I feel 20 years younger. And like I'm watching things, and I remember jobs I had, and I wish I knew then what I know now in those jobs, right? And so I'm trying to put that to good use, pouring into these players, and it's been a lot of fun.
One last one. Sorry, I have one time. You haven't really been on the other side of, I guess, being close to a draft prospect like Shedeur. You've been on the side of picking these kids apart.
Sure.
Out what's in their history and what makes them tick. How do you feel about the reaction? It seems, I guess, broad strokes, the NFL community has had to Shedeur, and just kind of how we should have everything up.
Well, I've talked to all 32 teams, and some of them multiple times. I mean, some of the teams, ought to get an Airbnb out here. I mean, they've been out here a bunch of times doing the research on Shedeur for the right reasons. And I've told them all this, and I really believe it, having worked with him at this level and knowing how he's going to project to the next level. If you need a quarterback, draft Shedeur. If you don't need a quarterback, take Travis. I mean, I just, as my daughter would say, it's not that deep. I think I'm not trying to be, funny. I just, believe in it. Quarterbacks have to have confidence. you're thrust into a big stage, and it's 3rd and 6, and the wind is blowing, and you got to have it. If you don't have confidence, it ain't happening, right? And you've been tagged a few times. Some of your guys have maybe dropped a couple balls, and you got to be able to stand in there and take it. So confidence is a huge thing. Being natural at the position is a huge thing, and I just think he has some of the traits that will allow him to be very, very successful. So I'm not into the comparison game at this point. We're not working together. We still talk frequently. He'll call me at night after his visits, and we'll talk about how they went or whatever. But now I'm in the phase where I'm rooting for him, and I think whatever team chooses to pick him is going to make a really good choice.
Thanks, Coach.
Good.